partner of a law firm headquartered in Kiev. I myself been doing 20 years real estate, and this is partly the reason why I'm moderating this panel, which is about the urban space and infrastructure reconstruction. I'm very pleased to have this honorable panel here with great speakers. A bit about the organization. We will have one speaker online. He will start as first, and then we move to the speakers here. I believe almost everybody or everybody here at the panel has a presentation. So we will first give the opportunity to present, and then we will have a discussion here in the panel, and finally we will move to a Q&A session. So this is for the organization. I will not introduce now every panelist. I will do it when I will be giving the word to each of the speakers. So we are ready to go, and we get some more people here. We will start with Zhan Beleniuk. Zhan Beleniuk is a member of parliament, but he is also a great sportsman. Hello, Zhan. Do you hear us well? We see Zhan. No, we don't hear Zhan. Zhan, maybe the muting. We still don't hear you. We need some IT support, obviously. Actually, I have it here very great quality.
Чутно мене?
О, зараз чутно, Жан, супер. Зараз чутно. Жан, я скажу два слова про вас, ще представлю і тоді передам вам слово. Okay, so we have Zhan Beleniuk. Zhan Beleniuk is a Ukrainian Greco-Roman wrestler and also very active politician and 3-time European, 2-time world champion. He won the silver medal at the 2016 Summer Olympics in Rio de Janeiro and a gold medal at the 2020 Summer Olympics in Tokyo. And as I mentioned, he is a deputy at the Parliament of Ukraine, and he served as the first deputy head of the Parliamentary Committee on Youth and Sport. And Zhan would like, we will start with sport infrastructure. So the urban space is the first part of our panel. So we will start with the second part of our panel, and Zhan will tell us a bit where we are with the destroyed infrastructure. Жан, передаємо вам слово. Будь ласка.
Так, дякую в першу чергу за можливість бути присутнім серед вас, хоча б в такому форматі. Наразі в нас велика проблема з виїздами, тому що залучені до великої кількості роботи всередині нашої держави. Тому в будь-якому випадку для нас велика честь, що наші міжнародні партнери, зокрема Польща, нас підтримує у всіх починаннях в ці важкі для нашої країни часи. І одна з важливих тем – це відновлення системи спорту та, зокрема, спортивної інфраструктури в Україні. До роботи в парламенті я був одним з багатьох українських спортсменів, і саме тому визначив для себе, що у парламенті буду опікуватися питаннями спорту, оскільки з самого дитинства спорт – це є моє життя. Свій виступ я хочу розпочати з того, що головною метою нашої спільної діяльності президента, парламента, уряду, Міністерства молоді та спорту України і, безумовно, спортивної спільноти має бути збереження людського капіталу, наших спортсменів. Це головний наш скарб. З початку повномасштабної агресії Росії проти України багато моїх колег по спорту обрали шлях воїни, взяли в руки зброю і пішли захищати нашу державу. Жорстка війна з Російською Федерацією завдала нам тяжких втрат. І ми, звичайно, відбудуємо пошкоджені або зруйновані стадіони, спортивні палаци, дитячо-юнацькі спортивні школи, басейни. Але ніхто не поверне велику кількість життів наших загиблих спортсменів та тренерів, на жаль. Вони загинули на полі бою в своїх будинках від ворожих снарядів. Український парламент з Міністерством молоді та спорту України, Національним олімпійським комітетом України консолідували зусилля задля подолання наслідків збройної агресії Російської Федерації проти України. Яка в нас наразі ситуація? Руйнування та пошкодження спортивної інфраструктури, знаходження нерозірваних мін та снарядів на спортивних об'єктах, постійні загрози обстрілів та ведення бойових дій створили серйозні проблеми для тренувального процесу професійних спортсменів. Варто зазначити, що ключові виклики, з якими стикнулася Україна: руйнування та пошкодження саме спортивної інфраструктури, потреба збереження об'єктів спортивної інфраструктури в майбутньому, небезпека проведення навчально-тренувальних зборів та спортивних заходів у більшості регіонів України через питання саме безпеки, постійні повітряні тривоги, зупинення виконання робіт з реконструкції, будівництва та капітального ремонту, що виконувалося на об'єктах спортивної інфраструктури, спричиняє здорожчання самих цих проєктів. Призупинення фінансування розвитку спортивної інфраструктури. Які наші завдання? Впровадження в експлуатацію розвиток єдиного електронного реєстру спортивних споруд, цифровізація спортивної сфери, використання новітніх технологій при модернізації та будівництві спортивних об'єктів, в тому числі баз олімпійської, паралімпійської, дефлімпійської підготовки, створення об'єктів спортивної інфраструктури з урахуванням стандартів безпеки, енергонезалежності і багатофункціональності, залучення європейських експертів для проєктування та розбудови мережі спортивної інфраструктури світового рівня. Під ворожі обстріли потрапляють сучасні спортивні арени, молодіжні центри та інші основи сфери фізичної культури і спорту. Одним з важливих питань, яке необхідно вирішувати в нових складних умовах для військової агресії, як військова агресія Російської Федерації проти України, так і після перемоги України та відновлення миру на всій її території, це наявна відповідна сучасна спортивна інфраструктура. У 2020 році була започаткована програма президента України 25 спортивних об'єктів, так званих магнітів. На кінець 2021 року за вказаною програмою функціонували вже 14 таких об'єктів, з яких 4 були збудовані та введені в експлуатацію у 2021 році. Та ще 7 нових об'єктів планувалося ввести в експлуатацію до 2024 року. Такими магнітами були велотрек в Лимані і басейн в Маріуполі, які наразі знищені російськими військами. Розпочався процес впровадження електронного реєстру спортивних споруд і саме внесення існуючих спортивних об'єктів в реєстр планування модернізації реєстру для можливості деталізованого обліку руйнувань та процесу відновлення. На превеликий жаль, ми розуміємо, що після цієї війни, яка почалася ще у 2014 році, в Україні збільшилася кількість людей, які матимуть інвалідність, в тому числі і дітей. У зв'язку з цим ми повинні створити їм всі умови для їх скорішого відновлення та адаптації до повноцінного життя в суспільстві. Все це можливо зробити з наявності сучасних, інклюзивних, побудованих відповідно до міжнародних стандартів спортивних споруд, кваліфікаційно-фізично-спортивних кадрів, кваліфікованих фізкультурно-спортивних кадрів шляхом залучення через заходи фізкультурно-спортивної реабілітації до активних систематичних занять фізичною культурою і спортом як можна більшої кількості людей з інвалідністю. Саме фізична культура і спорт для людей, які постраждали під час війни, може стати шляхом покращення здоров'я, в тому числі психологічного стану. За інформацією, озвученою Міністерством молоді і спорту, з моменту повномасштабного вторгнення Росії на територію України постраждали 135 об'єктів спортивної інфраструктури, з яких 22 зруйновано повністю, і наразі спортивна інфраструктура постраждала приблизно на $180 мільйонів. Постраждали спортивні комплекси, стадіони, водно-спортивні бази, басейни, льодові арени, площинні споруди, велокомплекси і так далі. Вже ведуться перемовини з деякими країнами щодо взяття шефства над конкретними спортивними клубами, школами, щоб допомогти їм якнайшвидше відновити діяльність, а також щоб отримати консультаційні і фінансові допомоги для будівництва, відбудови зруйнованої інфраструктури. З ініціативи президента України Володимира Зеленського засновано національний бренд United24 для об'єднання зусиль міжнародних партнерів, донорів, благодійників щодо підтримки України в захисті її незалежності, територіальної цілісності та суверенітету, а також по воєнному відновленню. Окремо був створений спецрахунок для відновлення спортивної інфраструктури саме України. Я вірю в що ми відбудуємо наш Донецьк, Луганськ, Сімферополь, будемо проводити чемпіонати і змагання саме в цих містах. Відновлення та розвиток спортивної інфраструктури є важливим напрямком для шляху побудови нашого європейського майбутнього. Безмежно вдячні країнам-друзям, які підставили своє плече наразі і підтримують український народ. Дякую вам велике за змогу виступити на вашому заході, тому що для нас це дійсно дуже важливо наразі.
Дякуємо, Жан. Ми продовжимо з нашими наступними паналістами. Якщо ви залишитесь з нами далі на цій сесії, то ми повернемось після виступів до питань і, можливо, будуть питання теж до вас.
Добре, я на зв'язку. Дякую.
Дякую. So thank you, Zhan, and we are moving to our next speaker, who is Dmytro Klets. Dmytro Klets has served as a senior project manager at the reform support team at the Ministry of Infrastructure of Ukraine since 2019. He assists in developing of sectors reform agenda and work planning, and leads the development of amendments to laws and the bylaws legislation. Manages analytics support of the reform and assists in implementing infrastructure projects of Ukraine. So, Dmytro, the floor is yours. Please give us the picture on the infrastructure.
Thank you, Alexei. Dear colleagues, first of all, I want to thank you for the invitation to this summit. Poland is our strategic partner, and we really appreciate your help, your support, and your attention to the problems in Ukraine due to Russian military aggression. As Alexei said, I work in the reform support team at the Ministry of Infrastructure of Ukraine. Our minister received a new position last week. Now he is a deputy prime minister, and we are in joint procedure with another minister in Ukraine that is responsible for formation the policy on building. So I hope that our new joint ministry will provide more effective, more quickly reforms. In my report, how can I click next slide? Thank you very much. I'll focus more about transport infrastructure recovery in my report because of effective logistics requires developed transportation system in Ukraine as well as with our partner countries in Europe. You know that Ukraine is important transportation hub that connects Europe with Asia. We have more than 20,000 kilometers of railway tracks. We have almost 170,000 kilometers of state highways. We have 18 seaports, 25 international airports. Ukraine is a shield of Europe, but we pay a high price for it. Our partners from World Bank Group tried to estimate the total amount of damage of infrastructure. It's not an easy task because of these damages are growing every day. And approximately estimation, we can say about $127 billion. And there you can see that most affected oblasts or regions of Ukraine are located in the northern part of Ukraine, southern and eastern part of Ukraine. In general, we have more than 2,000 of settlements damaged, so we don't have to raise the question to repair these settlements. We have to raise the question to build new ones, better ones as in Europe, according to European experience. So it's not surprising that infrastructure is a target of Russian aggression. Now we have damaged more than 300 of bridges. We have damaged 25,000 of kilometers of state roads, damaged airports, railways. Russian military attacks and missile strikes caused creation of humanitarian and food and production crisis in Ukraine, and caused stop of larger taxpayers. Even if Russia will stop war tomorrow, we have to take at least 2 years to repair energy infrastructure in Ukraine, unfortunately. And every Ukrainian can feel every day attacks of Russia. If you want to know more details about the damages in infrastructure, you can find the official information in our website, in our information from Ukravtodor. Ukravtodor is a state agency for roads for Ukraine. World Bank Group information and analytics of Kyiv School of Economics. What's our vision? What we have and what we plan? How do we plan to recover Ukraine? Our president initiated the creation of National Council to recover Ukraine. It consists of 24 working groups, and it consists almost 2,000 of experts, national experts and experts with international experience. Our team organized and participated in one working groups to recover the transportation in Ukraine and infrastructure. We received a lot of proposals of investment projects. We worked out them, we prioritized them, we estimated them, and divided into 3 main groups. The first group is survival stage for short-term projects till 2023 year. That's the most actual projects for wartime economy. The second group is recovery stage for middle-term projects till 2026 year. I hope that this stage will be after war recovery. And the last stage is modernization for long-term projects till 2032 year. That's more about inclusiveness, more about digitalization, anti-corruption, green energy, and other important projects for Ukraine. So the recovery plan is drafted. You can find these drafts in our official site or using this QR code, this link. And our main goals are to recover infrastructure in Ukraine in all sectors, to integrate our transportation system in European one, and to make further harmonization of legislation according to European Union and Ukraine Association Agreement. National Council estimated all the projects and proposed key indicators, how to know that these projects are completed successfully. There you can see some examples for the transport system. That's not the full list. For example, for roads, we have to restore more than 53,000 of kilometers of roads, more than 4,000 of bridges, and special attention for border crossing points modernization and building new ones. We want to provide more efficient, more predictable, and more comfortable crossing the border with our Western countries' partners. We want to buy new scanners, new weights. We want to launch electronic queue next week to expand the network of joint control and so on. For aviation sector, it's modernization of international airports, increase of passenger traffic, and we consider Boryspil Airport as one of the important hubs in Eastern Europe. For railway, it's the same. Buying new rolling stock, repairing of rail tracks, and launch high-speed railway. For water transport, it's modernization and repair of seaports, it's development of navigation by Dnipro River, and launching several important public-private partnership projects. The projects of survival stage are located at most at the western border of Ukraine. As you can see, we prioritized them. It's all for wartime economy, and we divided them into 2 stages for priority projects and following projects. To summarize that I said about architecture of recovery of Ukraine infrastructure, we pay special attention to accuracy of needs assessment. We use experience of European countries. We use experience of other countries that survived the war. We hosted special registry for damaged infrastructure in our ministry. And it's the basis for long-term planning in Ukraine. Also, we use monitoring and evaluation tools. It's very important. And one of the biggest challenges in Ukraine, I think, would be that our neighboring countries, some of our neighboring countries, I mean Russia and Belarus, are not friendly. Their behavior is unpredictable. So we have to build enough amount of shelters for our citizens and for guests of our country. Of course, we can't do successful recovery of Ukraine without financial help of our partners. We are trying to find grant funds, working on the creation of multi-donor trust fund under the World Bank program. And we are drafting the legislation to make our procurement system in Ukraine more efficient and more effective. Our main principles are coordination across all levels of government, local authorities, central authorities, engagement and involvement all key stakeholders, its scientific organization, national experts, experts with international experience, drafting the legislation, further harmonization of them, providing anti-corruption measures and digitalization. We are trying to make digital recovery management. That's all that I want to say. Please remember that strong Ukraine is strong Europe. Thank you so much for your help, for your support, and I think that we can jointly build our common future, freedom and safety. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paulo. I'm wondering how you managed to put so many topics of infrastructure in that short presentation. Thank you. We are moving to Pavlo Kuzmenko. Pavlo Kuzmenko has been the mayor of Ohtyrka. This is Sumy region, close to Russia, since 2020. And with the beginning of Russia aggression, he combined the work of the mayor of the city, which is just 50 kilometers from Russia-Ukrainian border, with the duties of a surgeon of a local hospital operating on patients with missile trauma. The biggest challenge for the community right now, we understand, is the damage of the thermal power station, which provides heat to the 80% of the city. Павло, будь ласка, вам слово. May we ask to put the presentation on? Okay.
Video.
Video there
Video.
must be video.
Доброго вечора, Україно. Бажаю здоров'я, дорогі українці. Бажаю здоров'я, дорогі охтирчан. Нічні бомбардування майже всю ніч. Певними інтервалами, зальоти літаків і бомбардування. Повне знищення інфраструктури міста Охтирка. А ми виживемо і будемо процвітати у всьому світі. Охтирка – це Україна.
Дякую. Доброго дня, вельмишановне панство. Дякую за запрошення на саміт та можливість сказати декілька слів. Хочеться говорити, хочеться показувати дуже-дуже багато, але час обмежений. Більше ніж 20 років я попрацював лікарем-хірургом-травматологом і до того, як був обраний Охтирською громадою на посаду міського голови. Мені, як нікому, відомо, що чужий біль не можна, його можна описати, але не можна передати. Так і біль нашої країни можна описати, але її не можна передати. Весь цивілізований світ – це єдиний організм. І Україна – частина цього організму. Вона дуже хворіє. Країна-агресор хоче її вбити. І ми, українці, бачимо, як весь світ рятує нашу країну та хворіє разом з нами. Ми не чужий біль, ми біль всього цивілізованого світу. З перших хвилин війни я разом зі своєю командою, яка зараз знаходиться тут, частина її, залишився і залишаюся в своєму місті. Я пам'ятаю, і до кінця свого життя буду пам'ятати, як швидко прийшло усвідомлення слова «війна» і слів «вбита дитина». Моєю задачею завжди було допомагати одужати. Раніше це була людина, а зараз потрібно допомогти одужати місту Охтирка, нашій громаді, а згодом і всій Україні. Кожен знає, що для одужання потрібна підтримка і позитивний настрій. Підтримка добротою людських сердець. Підтримка ідеями, справами, коштами, товарами та багато чим іншим. Наше місто Охтирка, яке розташоване за 30 кілометрів від кордону з ворогом, не було окупованим. Але ми більше місяця тримали оборону, були в облозі. Місяць авіабомбардувань, місяць помсти, що ми не пропустили ворога. Перші термобаричні бомби були скинуті на наше місто. Перша знищена ТЕЦ в Україні 3 березня як перший прояв геноциду проти українського народу, бо на вулиці на той час було мінус 20. Перша знищена міська рада в Україні – це також місто Охтирка. На жаль, перша вбита дитина також в місті Охтирка. Але і перша команда виконавчого комітету, яка в зоні бойових дій повністю всі до одного залишилися і кожного дня працювали в повному складі, пліч-опліч на перемогу. І я пишаюся, що працюю з цими людьми. Перший герой України, з яким кожного дня ми обороняли, також 2 березня був з міста Охтирки, признаний президентом України Володимиром Зеленським. Можна годинами говорити про кожен день активних бойових дій першого місяця війни, адже це залишиться в людській пам'яті назавжди. Та на сьогодні і без цих спогадів досить багато горя й сліз. Тому хочу розповісти про добро серед війни. Після нічного бомбардування з 7 на 8 березня центру міста зруйнований в місті. Місто було засипане уламками цегли і скла. Зруйнована міська рада, музей, будинок культури, будинок торгівлі, суд, садочок, музична школа, багатоповерхівки. Здавалося б, що може бути доброго в такий ранок і в такий день. Але один із підприємців-квіткарів, що вирощував живі квіти, зателефонував і запропонував роздати квіти всім. Мої друзі це пам'ятають. Декілька тисяч живих квітів ми роздавали по місту. Де тільки можна. В лікарню. Вся лікарня була заставлена живими квітами. Адже лікарня в нас також не зупиняла і на хвилину свою роботу. На всіх поверхах, всі, хто залишилися, отримали букети живих квітів. В аптеках, які працювали зранку, в магазинах і на вулицях ми роздавали людям квіти. І це було 8 березня. Крізь сльози і сум у жінок та чоловіків з'являлась посмішка. Вже на той час жоден охтирчанин, який залишився в Охтирці, не сумнівався, що ми вистоїмо і переможемо. Ми, охтирчани, мешканці невеликого прикордонного містечка, на той час надихали всю країну своєю незламністю і впевненістю в перемогу. Сміялися, навіть була така невеличкий жарт. Вони обіцяли за 3 дні взяти всю країну, а не взяли навіть Охтирку. На той час ми були без тепла, світла, води, але вільні, незламні і непереможні. Вже на початку березня до Охтирки почали надходити перші гуманітарні вантажі з Польщі і всього світу. Світ зреагував досить миттєво на цю вбивчу війну. За місяць щоденних авіабомбардувань в нас не було жодної години гуманітарної кризи, жодної хвилини паніки серед нашого населення і жодної секунди сумніву у нашій перемозі. Працювала згуртована команда. Бо коли відчуваєш підтримку всього цивілізованого світу, єдине, що стає важливим, це воля і правда, за яку ми боремось. Так, нам багато чого потрібно відбудувати. ТЕЦ і тепломережі, водогони, дороги, міську раду, школи, садочки, музеї, будинки, допомогти зруйнованим підприємствам і бізнесу стати на ноги. Та за підтримки кожного, хто зараз в цьому залі, або далеко за океаном, але серцем з Україною, ми відбудуємо всі зруйновані села і міста. Ми загоїмо всі рани України. Станемо повноправною країною Європи та цивілізованого світу. Низький уклін Польщі та всім країнам, які нас підтримують. Слава Україні! Слава ЗСУ!
It's not easy to speak after the mayor, Pavlo, but I think Robert can give a good insight on how Akhtirka could look like. Robert, please, the floor is yours, and just a few words about you. So Robert is the president of Alta SA, a company investing in projects creating urban spaces and providing technical solution, and also leading a think tank. So please.
Thank you. Thank you. We just have seen and listened about the will to rebuild, and the scale. It's immense. It's difficult to manage, of course. And I think all of us have the feel and the need, on one hand, to participate and to help. We don't really know how. And on the other hand, the government, central government, local governments, they need support, of course, because this, again, as I said, the task is immense. And well, as Alexei said, I manage an investment company. We invest in urban spaces, and from the very beginning, I thought that we should support in what we know. So you do what you can. We can't do everything, and what we know is planning and looking for target and explaining and planning how the cities and the urban spaces should look. Is it in Poland, where we have a lot of work to do, believe me, or wherever, and of course Ukraine has now even more work to do, so how can we support? And after a couple of months, I was lucky to find a collaboration of Roskvit. It's started by Fulko Treffer, who sits here, and Oleg Drozdov. Why don't you stand up and show yourself to everybody? So I'm very happy that we could find them. They work already, as you see, researchers, designers, policy advisors, teachers. And the idea is to help and support, on one hand, local governments, mayors, central government, with long-term and short-term solutions. And on the other hand, the idea is, left, right? Right, okay. And on the other hand is to give an opportunity to investors, developers, funds, ethical investors to participate, to involve, to engage. It's not possibility to invest yet. It's rather to get to know what is happening and have this feel good that at least you're supporting. You do what you can. That's the basic idea. So whoever, this is what Roskvit has done so far. I'm speaking here on behalf of more than 80 participants around Europe. These are the cities they are working with, and they are advising right now. You can read some quotes from mayors and from local governments on how it looks and where it leads. All I can say about planning, as the time is very limited, and it's we started with sports infrastructure. Now, sports infrastructure is not separate from urban spaces, and road and rail infrastructure is not separated from urban spaces. And this is, and you have to plan everything together. You thinking about roads and streets, and roads become streets, and rail is so important for urban development. And sports infrastructure could develop cities and could destroy cities. We have in Warsaw a huge football stadium right downtown, which destroyed the neighborhood in the radius of, I think, 5 kilometers. So you have to think about it all. Wherever you think about the urban space, it's all included. It's everything there. Jobs, housing, services, retail. And you can do it well, and you can do it in a bad way. And that's the job of Rosquit. Whoever from local governments feels like they need support, Rosquit provides it. As you see, there is many experts, and we will be more than happy to help. You can always contact either myself here in Poland or Rosquit directly. These are the contacts. Come and ask for help, and we will. Okay, that's. I believe after all those testimonials here, we all have the need to help and do something. My neighbor to the left, he does a tremendous job already. We are not a match, but again, I leave it to you to tell. So please come, please, and we will help you. And whoever wants to involve himself, whoever wants to support with money or knowledge or facilities, we're waiting for you. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. And we are moving to Michael Caponi. Michael Caponi is a founder and president at Global Empowerment Mission, an international organization that is disrupting the disaster sector through innovative, efficient, and modernized systems. GEM has responded to disasters in more than 44 countries, distributed over 250 million in supplies. And currently, Michael is also a member of the advisory board of the W4UA Summit, where we are. Now, Michael, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. So we are on the nonprofit side, humanitarian organization called Global Empowerment Mission. If you see the first slide right there, it's a very good example of the seeds that need to be done before you can get into the bigger things, right? There's an order of things, just like the Ministry of Infrastructure was showing that 2022 and 2023 were survival, right? So as a humanitarian organization, we are focused on survival right now. A perfect example is this building right here. This building had 85 people that were refugees in Poland and in Germany. And it was bombed. It's in Bucha. And we assessed it, and we realized that with about $125,000, we could completely fix it and put 85 people out of refugee status, out of Poland, and back into that apartment building. So that was our first pilot that we did. We were able to do that. We started in May. It's completely finished already. We started in late May. We then partnered with the City of Bucha Council, and they gave us a list of 1,100 projects that have been destroyed in just Bucha alone. Imagine, that doesn't even include Irpin or any of the neighboring areas outside of Kyiv. And just in light repairs, there's 1,100 in just Bucha. So we had to choose, unfortunately, of which ones we're going to do first, right, with the amount of money that's at hand. And we picked projects, small schools, big schools, small clinics, medium-sized clinics, and apartment buildings and residential homes. And we assessed everything by their price and how many, with this money, with this $70,000, how many children can you put back in school, right? And with less than $500,000, we were able to rebuild 8 schools already that are finished that put 5,600 children back in school with $500,000. You know how we do that? Because one, we eliminate all profit. We eliminate all people that want to make money off this stage. There's plenty of money to make in a different stage, but when it comes to a survival stage, we cut it out. You purchase the materials directly from Ukrainian manufacturers, and you create hybrid labor. Hybrid labor is a /volunteer construction worker who, for the good of his country, wants to dedicate the next months of his life in order to help rebuild. So you're not underpaying them. They're working in this agreement, right, to get things done. And they are as motivated as the soldiers are today to win this war. They work endless. It's dark, they're still working because they want to get the school back open for the Ukrainian children. And as a builder, I'm a former developer who used to build for a living when I was in the private sector. Now I'm out of the private sector. I've never seen anything like this, and you'll see proof here. So this is our two bases. We have a central operation in Warsaw. You see that big building there? And that's the aid we bring in on the right. And the blue building is our headquarters in Kyiv. And the picture on the right is the aid that's there. That consists of different things from sustainability, food, water, supplies, blankets, generators, and some construction materials. If you look here on this slide, it'll talk about the 8 schools. And what's incredible is you can already see that there's children playing. If you look at I don't know how to do this, but if you look at that picture over there, you see all those little children playing. And I think it's very important to understand this. Bucha, just like all these other communities and all the communities in Ukraine, were massacred. And there was zero hope. And when the mayor of Bucha invited me and said, we have to bring hope back to the community and we have to do this, you look on September 1st, all those children that are playing, and they were together again for the first time with their friends, with smiles on their faces, right? And you could see the productivity that happened here so quickly. In the beginning of this summit, conference, we were talking about public spaces for sports. And if you look over there, most schools that were damaged got a rocket or something in their like soccer field. And when we just replaced, there's not pictures here, but when we just replaced the turf in the soccer field, imagine, for nothing, $20,000, it allowed 500 children from Bucha to go play on that field again and play soccer and meet their friends. And it completely, everybody talks about therapy, that's the therapy. There's nothing better than people doing and getting together like this. And we've seen really incredible progress with all of these. So again, with heating systems, you could see in the far right corner, right? The Ukrainians know how to repair their own heating systems better than anybody, certainly better. We wouldn't even consider at this stage importing people to fix these things. They're all experts at it, and they're willing to do it. And these are the clinics, as you could see. And again, same concept, right? Change windows, put a new roof on, put a new heating system on, and get it open. And there's a lot of talk about importing and bringing in all different kinds of prefab homes and everything, and that's also needed. That's needed for people who have no home to ever go to. But there's lots of people that just need repairs in their homes, and we should also address that immediately because that's extremely important. So these are the apartment buildings. One of these apartment buildings puts back 2,600 people in the apartment building for less than $500,000. So if you start dividing those numbers up, it's a few $100s a person, a few $100s a person. Go ask someone who runs a Polish shelter here what it costs to house a refugee in Poland for a week. A lot more than that. So this is about reversing the refugee crisis, keeping people back in Ukraine, because when they come back into Ukraine, they need their children to go back to school. And then when their children are back in school and they can get back to work, even if there's less work, they're still back in work, the ecosystem is created again. And then the economy starts moving again. And then money is flowing and everything moves. And when we, as humanitarians, do this part of the job, then it gets ready for all these incredible architects that are on this panel to start doing master planning for the future, which is another portion. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. And we have our next speaker, Jean-Christophe Bonny. I will ask actually Jean and then also Boris afterwards. You have both 5 minutes because I think we have great audience to ask the questions. So Jean-Christophe is founder, chairman of the board with Dmytro by HIT, Humanitarian Innovative Technologies. And the floor is yours, Jean, please.
Thank you. I deeply think that one of the answers is technology. Because in the next couple of years, we will need to be able to accelerate, to rebuild the country in less than 50 years. And a part of the solution is to automatize, to accelerate, and to transfer technology to Ukrainians. 3D printing is part of this answer. So Dmytro and HIT are humanitarian NGO in states first to fundraise, because it's big money. It's costing a lot of money to be able to have technology. And in Ukraine since the beginning of the war. We are basically based and linking on a DNA around technology. Robotic, data, how to use AI, how to be able to link the technology with people, how to be able to answer emergencies on the ground with people. And we have two programs inside the foundation. A first one that is 3D printing I will speak about, and the second one working with the United Nations to provide food all over the front line in Ukraine, and we are feeding a bit more than 250,000 people every month with World Food Programme and United Nations. So for the technological part, 3D printing, we decided to launch a first pilot in Lviv. The pilot was done with my architect, this amazing gentleman, and we had also some discussion together last. This 3D printing, why is it interesting? 3D printing, that's imagine a robot. A robot, 12 meters by 12 meters, that's a small one, up to three-story building, and this robot is able to print in 3 weeks a 3-floor building on almost the same price that my colleague is doing also for the rebuilding the actual building. The second point is the speed. You can do that with 2 persons in couple of days, basically, as soon as you manage this technology. The third point is the fact that you use a designer, architect, but you use also the local materials, local cement, traditional concrete, no importation, so it means it will go faster. Of course, 12 meters by 12 meters is too small. The biggest printer for the moment that will arrive in a couple of weeks on the market is Cobod, 25 meters by 28 meters up to 8-story building. At that level, we are beginning to speak about something interesting because it means that you are able to print building, but I heard about infrastructure. You are also able to print bridges, infrastructure, and to reuse the waste building, because if you have a building which is destroyed, happily in Ukraine, most of the concrete since the 70s are the same, meaning most of the building can be reused inside concrete to rebuild the building by the waste of the building destroyed by Russians. All these things are very interesting, and of course, it's not only technology. It's a mix between all of us here to be able, between you buildings, the big planification, and people like us operating technological side and on the ground to be able to accelerate. I will just show you very fast what was done in Lviv. Unfortunately, Russian fucked up my plans. We were supposed to print in October, and that was just 2-3 days after the bridge got destroyed in Crimea, and we had a huge, massive attack, as you know, in Ukraine, and most of my partners are American and from Denmark. And they told me that it's a bit too dangerous for the moment to come inside the country, and it's postponed for the 3D printing part for spring, early spring. But still, we did the foundation. Everything is ready for the printing, and we are expecting printing just after winter, beginning of spring. I would like to propose you a second thing. So. Why don't print a bridge? I have 3 partners. We are ready. I already met a couple of your colleagues in the Ministry of the Regional Development. It's a small bridge, but it's a bridge you can print. It's a bridge you can use and you can import on that matter, but you can do a small bridge for the moment for people who are walking. And technologically, there is no limit to print a bridge. That's just a question of size for the printer. So let's collaborate on that. I'm ready to do that whenever you want and wherever you want. Also, I think it's important. Last things, join us. We need to work all together. It's not only a question of money, it's a question of creating a momentum, creating a dynamic between all of us, because we are a team, and that's the best event to be able to begin a team building. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Jean-Christophe. And we are moving to our last but not least speaker, Boris Dorgo. Boris Dorgo is CEO and partner at barbaric Bureau, which is Ukrainian-based architecture and interior design practice for 18 years of experience. The Bureau has done many projects in Ukraine, not only in Ukraine. And hopefully Boris will give us a bit outlook on a conceptual part. So please, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. We used to be commercial designers and architects, and we realized more than 200 projects since our working history. Some of them are Bursa Hotel in Kyiv, Cool Temple in San Francisco, Kyiv Food Market, some projects in China, Chernobyl Exposition, and Grammarly headquarters. So we are very practical guys. Since the beginning of war, we started to develop social projects with bigger effort. We had social responsibility before, of course, but now we spend more than half of our time and source on social projects, and they are housing. We discussed it yesterday. It's about the semi-temporary living systems. These are monuments. Monuments is defense of the historical buildings and monuments in Ukraine, and one of the project which we realized already saved Grushevsky monument in Kiev on Volodymyrsky Street. The defense was damaged, but the monument is still untouched. The other project is Memories, where we suggest variants of how to upkeep the memory about the war in proposing the way the monuments of war, of common war, can look like. One of them is Irpin Bridge, which was today also in presentations, and we are working as initiative team on proposing some variants from our bureau as well. Villages is a digital project where we gathered information on architectural codes of different Ukrainian regions for suburban areas. We understood how people decorate their buildings, what colors they use to decorate their buildings, and developed the software which you can use to quickly get the drawings on a village house made in a style it has to be done for that area. So it's just like eight clicks away from you, and you get the project documentation automatically and can build it in local code, for example, for Chernigiv area, and it won't stand apart of the rest of the buildings around. And the one I want to focus on is the Vision project. The Vision project is like a very theoretical thing for us. It is like Rosquit doing. We want to create the environment for all the people to think alike and to focus their forces in one direction. And what we do is I'll come to that thought later, and I want to say that we don't have a very straight answer on the question, should we start rebuilding it yet or no? So, but we know some things definitely right now. What we can do is assessing the extent and character of damage and destruction. What has been done, it is like the project which we discussed yesterday with Zhan Christoph, which can be realized with drones which make the pictures, and they also built 3D models of the buildings which are damaged and building the database of it. Exploring new technologies to implement, again, some 3D printing things and other modern things like 3D scanning, drone scanning, and etc. Developing an integrated rebuilding strategy is like what Rosquit is doing, and we also doing it on our level and envisioning the future of our cities. That is the particular aim of the project we want to create, is therapeutic or archi-treatment. It has the main point is to give Ukrainians a hope or a dream how the cities can look like after rebuilding, after they will be recovered from the damage suffered. We want also to unite under this project, under this umbrella, architectural community, which is now, I can say, separated, as I feel. And we want to prompt the post-war reconstruction on it. What the project is about? It is the AR-based applications that allows each person to create the virtual image of restored house or street or a district. It is AI-based technology which is programmed, and algorithmized by architects. It can be algorithmized by different bureaus in their style. And when a person sees a damaged building, in the application, application scans the building, understands where it is, and can show the rebuilt building as it can be in the future. That will seed people a hope and make their life a little bit brighter because of a new dream and something to be heading to. So how it works, the architects do the code, like the algorithm of how buildings can be restored. The data is processed by the application, and after it kind of like Instagram filter on the building. So I want so that's our idea on the Vision project, and if you can provide tech support, or if you're an architectural bureau, you can freely join that technology, that mission which we took to ourselves. We are not so practical as the other teams in that question, but I think we are doing something from another side different levels. So, and that's the main principles which we envision in future architecture and renovation of Ukraine. Is, of course, it has to be accessible to all the different people, and sometimes even for animals. It has to be sustainable, comfortable, technological, and dignified, of course. So that's all. And
thank you,
thank you
Boris.
for your attention.
Thank you, Boris. We're looking forward to your app. We have 15 minutes left, and I would like to give the opportunity for questions from the audience. So if you want to ask a question, please just raise a hand, name yourself, and then whomever you want to ask. So we have a lady here, and do we have somebody to provide the micro? Let's do it like this. Great.
Hi. First of all, thank you very much for your speeches and for your work and for your support and everything that you do to make us be stronger and rebuild stronger. My name is Olga Rayenko. I'm creative entrepreneur from Ukraine with this annex refugee creative entrepreneur. And one of my business is spatial development, when we transform spaces into impactful environments. My question is about how can we, in non-traumatic way, commemorate within the cities, buildings, whatever we renovate and rebuild, the situation that happened, the traumatic actions that happens. How can we, through spaces, through infrastructure, through urban development, remind the challenges we had and that would remind us how strong we are? Have you ever thought about it? Yeah. And if yes, please answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The question is clear, sounds like more to designers. I know, Robert, do you want to pick up at this?
Thank you. That's a very good question, and I think you have countless examples in Europe, especially how it's done. There is in Berlin the Gedächtniskirche, right on the Kudamm, right? Excuse me?
Yes, Gedächtniskirche.
Yeah. That I spelled it wrong?
Yeah, a bit.
Maybe my German ancestors will be angry. All right, thank you. Anyway, so in Warsaw, of course, you have we have left many buildings with the bullet holes still in them. They were not repaired on purpose. And if you walk around Old Town in Warsaw, you will see many those uncovered walls, which are like I would say a picture into the past. So there are many ways to do it. On the other hand, I think still the focus have to be on creating proper cities. I can't repeat it enough times. At the end of it all, you need proper cities. We are civilization of cities. Thousands of years, we are here because of urban spaces. If we will not create an urban spaces, we will cease to exist. That's something I can tell. And answer to you to this, what should we do now? There are two historical examples. It would be one historical example is the First World War, so the Great War. Russian army got almost to Gdańsk at that time in 1915, and they demolished all small cities in the East Prussia, razed them to the ground. So that was very similar scenario. Germans created a design office in Berlin in the second half of 1915, and already when they pushed out Russian army back to the east, they started rebuilding already at the end of 1916. They had the new plans. All those towns which are now in Poland and they are in Russia, I mean, how they look in Russia, we can see that I'm not commenting on that, but those towns in Poland now, they look like they are there for hundreds of years. Actually, they were rebuilt between 1916 and 1920 already. So those plans were ready during the Great War, which was lost by Germany at that time. Warsaw, planning of rebuilding of Warsaw was done by the committee in London, and they started planning in 1940. There's a great book about it. So now is the time. There is no time to waste. You have to start discussion. We have to start to talk, and we start to draw now. Not in 5 years, not in 2027. That's too late. We have a small city. It took us 5 years to design it, and we still design it now. It's dynamic design. That's what you have to do.
Thank you, Robert. Here we have one more question.
Thank you for the nice presentations and very productive and actual effects that you do to our country and infrastructure.
Just introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, my name is Nadia. I run an HR agency. I'm from Ukraine, Odessa. Do you see, construction is one of the spheres or business domains which in our country are supposed to be most difficult to enter, or where on the regional levels, business people always complain that they, if not getting no assistance, moreover, they get a lot of troubles and problems. Do you see now any changes in approaches of the region on the regional level? Do you see support? Are you invited to do? Because what you suggest now is a new vision of the country, is a nice dream where I want to live, but I see my spoiled city. I see these problems of urban planning or no urban planning, just business concept there and making money. Do you feel any changes in that? And maybe it's a bit of an inconvenient question to our infrastructure.
No, Nadia.
Management.
I think we will redirect this to Охтирка, and I would like really to hear from the mayor. Ми б хотіли почути від вас, що відбувається зараз в частині планування Охтирки. От Роберт сказав, що в Першій світовій війні вже в 16-му році німці планували відбудову тих населених пунктів, які були зруйновані тоді ще царською армією. Що відбувається зараз в Охтирці в частині планування загального, тобто планування і, можливо, чогось конкретного? Поділіться з нами. І чи відбувається щось?
По-перше, з квітня місяця по сьогоднішній день більша частина людей, які виїхали, вже повернулися, а це більше, ніж 20 тисяч людей повернулися. Ми змогли забезпечити середній поточний ремонт по всіх багатоповерхівках і надати їм тепло. Так, звичайно, в аварійному режимі. Хочеться, щоб були запаси міцності, але їх немає поки що аварійно. В будинках відсотків 70 вже закриті вікна, вставлені двері, тепло, є вода, є світло, ну, в тому варіанті, в якому ми можемо його надати. І частину будинків почали відбудовувати капітальні відбудови за кошти місцевого бюджету. Також відбудували вже 2 садочки повністю. Капітальний ремонт, залишився 1 садочок і також уже проєкт готовий. Ну, на жаль, моменти проєктування, вони потребують часу. Проєкти виготовлені майже вже на все. Ну, залишилась міська рада, яка не відбудована. Ну, поки що розташовані ми в бібліотеці. Є візуалізація міської ради вже в новому форматі, не в старому. Є візуалізації інших об'єктів, там історичного музею, який зруйнований, і вже навіть частина коштів виділена на проєктно-кошторисну документацію, там проведена консервація. Тобто працюємо з першого дня руйнування, зразу намагаємось відновлювати. Проєкт розвитку міста поки що лежить у Інституті Дніпроміста в Києві. Ну, також, тобто, готуємося.
Такий більш державний підхід, а
так.
От включення таких людей, які сидять тут на панелі.
Все це здебільшого поточні ремонти і середні ремонти, всі зроблені за рахунок меценатів, за рахунок гуманітарних фондів, бо вони трошки швидше працюють. Їхні кошти набагато швидше працюють. У держави все одно залишився механізм державного фінансування, виділення фінансів, потім під них повинна бути проєктно-кошторисна документація, потім це все повинно затвердити і погодити. Ну, під час війни повинні більш швидкі механізми. Вибачте, під час місяця активних бойових дій ми працювали миттєво. Тобто, ну, не затрачували на це багато часу і ресурсу.
Дякую. Here one more question, a lady in front,
Thank you.
and then you will be the next.
Thank you. My name is Irina Koshel-Repnevska. I'm the head of the Reform Office of the Ministry of Infrastructure. And first of all, I would like to say thank you to all speakers. And та спеціально хочу подякувати меру Ахтирки за таку чуттєвий виступ і сказати, що ваш біль – то є наш біль, і ми з вами. Але ближче до... Дякую вам, пане. Але I have a question about 3D technology. It's as we are working in infrastructure sphere, we are connected with building, renovation, road, bridges, and so on. That's why I have some more specific questions. First is, what about life cycle of these buildings? Or it's a much more temporary construction?
3D printing is just automatization. Meaning you are using a robot instead of using humans, and you are doing that in a couple of days instead of doing that in a couple of years. But behind it's concrete, behind it's engineering, it's the same rules you are fixing for this type of buildings and for the normal one. Let's say I don't like to tell normal, but you have reinforcement, you have concrete, normal type of concrete with cement, meaning you are just using a technology of automatization to accelerate the process of everything touching the infrastructure of the building, meaning walls, roof, and
So it's the same concrete.
it's
okay?
the same concrete. And that's interesting, your question, because we are working also with your ministry, and I suppose we were supposed to meet last week, but so we will meet next week. And that's interesting, because when you are putting now inside your law the new rules, and that's you, I presume, who is doing that, you need to integrate the technology. You need to integrate my problematic as a tech leader inside these kind of things. Because you will need this technology. There is no point. You will need this technology, and Ukraine will be the first country on a mass level using new technology to rebuild. And so in terms of legal rules, you need to integrate, you need guys like me, you need guys like him, you need engineers, just to explain you the subtleties in between. And we need also to be able to solve the problematic, because ours is one thing, but when I want to print a bridge, we will need to see together how to do that, because the rules in printing bridge for working people are not the same as for 20 tons trucks. So we need to be able to go there.
Yeah, and documentation is different. You should have showed a video how it's working. You see, next time put a video.
Yeah,
and then,
And
But-
one more question.
but
also.
very short one. We are running out of time. I would like
I
to
will
give
be
word to
very
next
short.
speaker.
And about the certification of production, you know that all equipment and all buildings have to be certified in Ukraine. Is this easy exercise for
No
you?
problem.
No problem.
No problem. No problem, because you need a good engineer and good architect.
Yeah.
If you have a good team, we found the way, but no problem. I had no problem.
Thank you.
As a lawyer, I confirm, no problem. Okay. Please, yes. Just introduce yourself. And
Thank you very much. I'm Chiara Detsy-Berdeschi. I'm the head of UNESCO desk in Kiev. I have many comments, and thank you very much for all your presentations, really. We had yesterday a session specifically on culture, so I'm not repeating what yesterday was already discussed. Indeed, since from this moment, it's very important to have this, it's a very complex reconstruction process, and we know how important it is to have this integrated approach through diverse disciplines, as you mentioned from the ministry. Indeed, one of the enablers is all this coordination, and we are currently, this is for information, organizing with the Ministry of Culture and Information Policies missions in 4 regions for priority intervention in culture, and one is in Sumy, and we are also, as you know, working in this specific municipality. One issue is indeed the need and the criticality to have a strong regulatory framework now to prepare for all this beside this. And indeed, this it's something I'm not entering in because we don't have time, but it's something that really I think it will require more discussion and in a broad sense. Equally, conservation and new project design of quality, with certainly even a new vision for that. I have mainly two questions. One is concerning, I'm just reconnecting with the last question in terms of professional skills, what is foreseen, because we are working in artificial intelligence as well, of course, but this is something that it's very important to understand and how this will fit and is foreseen to fit in this system. And second, maybe when we are speaking about even recycling materials, how the issues, and this I'm asking also to GEM in terms of the work that they are doing, how, for instance, the issue of contamination of materials, or recycling of waste, I mean, construction debris, this is foreseen. If I understood, you are also reusing some of this material, and if this is addressed, and how. Thank you.
Maybe you start, Michael, and then we give to Zhan with technology.
So you want to know specifically if we're reusing materials, recycling materials in this stage. I think some parts that can be reused, you know, there's a lot of damage and a lot of things. What we are doing is creating a lot of jobs. And I think we have to address that because that's extremely important, right? So those people that are in a community right now that have nothing and no income, by getting human beings to fix a home in this particular moment in time, right? They have now money that they go put back in the economy. Everything that we're purchasing is from Ukraine and it's made in Ukraine because we figure that that investment is also going back into the economy. When I met with the window manufacturing firm, their entire factory was closed, okay? And he's used to making a much bigger margin. And the first thing I told him is, you're gonna sell us windows in this stage with no margin, nothing, 5% max. But guess what? You get to put 200 people back to work manufacturing windows now. And once we start doing, everybody's gonna start ordering windows from you. And that's what you do in this stage of the game. So I think that is working with, you know, as best as we can in this current time. And then I do also, not to say that only humans, I do think that these technologies are great. And we are doing, we're rebuilding. I know this is up, but just to give you, I just want to summarize this. The governments have been great. And everything we do has some sort of partnership hybrid with government today. If the governor of Chernihiv says we need to rebuild this school for 1,600 children, and he says it needs a window and a roof, the first thing I tell him is, you put the roof, we'll put the windows. Deal? And that's how we do it. And this is how these partnerships have been working, and it's really been great. And I think, you know, every mayor, governor that we've been working with has been incredible. We've repaired things in Kremenchuk, in Vinnytsia, in Odessa, in Bucha, in Chernihiv already. And so I think it's been an incredible pleasure to work with, you know, all Ukrainians. I think it's moving in a very positive direction. There's places that you can't, you know, really rebuild right now, and there's places that are full aftermath areas that it's full-fledged, let's go and get this thing up and running again.
Zhan, using concrete as a material for the 3D printing, 1 minute, okay?
So I will try to answer the question about the waste management on a different way. All the buildings in Ukraine, most of them were built around the 70s. And we were analyzing this building in terms of waste, in terms of what is inside the concrete. And we can reuse up to 99% of the building, meaning when a missile is arriving on a building, the team we are working with are able to take this building destroyed, whatever you have inside, and to reuse inside the local economy up to 99%. And the concrete already destroyed by inside the building, we can use it on two ways. First one, reusing it for roads, because it's important for infrastructure and it's perfect quality for roads, or you can transform it and reuse it on a normal concrete for building. That's the first question. The second question is linked with that. Transfer of technology. No choice. AI, I'm doing AI since 20 years. Vision machine, you don't do the vision machine from one day to another one. 3D printing is the same. So my foundation is financing with USAID and many partners a training center inside Ukraine where we will bring the technology. We will launch a competition for the best architect, engineer, for having the people in terms of knowledge from the different type of work, and we will train them day, night, to print, to reprint, to research how to do habitat, how to do houses, how to print up to 8 floors without any problematic of security, and we will bring them back to all the big factories and all the big companies in Ukraine who are, for the moment, working, developing, and so on. Transfer of technology end-to-end with governments, with local authorities, and with the people who are writing the law. And the country is... That's a white paper. You do amazing job from this forest with burn. You will have a country that even my country, France, will never have. So
Let's go for this.
Right.
Zhan, let's go for this. And let's give applause to our panel. Мейер Фактирка, останнє слово. Так, будь ласка.
Я прошу, якщо можливо, у нас є візуалізація міської ради із скла і бетону, і ми були б дуже вдячні, якби ми були пілотами. У нас є вже один пілотний проєкт, про який ми не можемо говорити, оскільки ми не дуже далеко біля ворога, але welcome to Ахтирка.
With pleasure.